I don't know the website. I forgot what it was.
Oh, it's okay. Hey, everybody. We are live. Thank you so much for joining in today. I'm with some amazing educators to Spotlight. My name is Melody McAllister, and I just want to thank you for tuning in, whether it's on Facebook, Twitter, or YouTube. We just appreciate you so much for joining in our special show for spotlighting educators. And today, we have 3 educators. In fact, they come together as a package. So if you want one of them, you gotta embrace all of them. And their team is actually renowned, because I have talked to other educators, not even in Kansas City where this team is, but they have helped educators, all across the nation. So today I'm going to pick their brain. We are going to feature the DLT team. And the first person, who is my friend that I have known for a few months now and been learning from, is Miss Andrea Cook. So Andrea, will you tell us a little bit about yourself and your background in education?
Absolutely. Hello, Melody. Hello, everyone. My name is Andrea Cook, and I am from Kansas City, Missouri. Basically, yes, represent Kansas City. Chiefs. Yeah, we're Super Bowl champs. Still, probably will be next year too.
Okay, yes, totally agree.
But I've been in education off and on for about 20 years. I worked doing everything within education. I worked as a substitute. I worked as a teacher assistant. And then I also worked as a teacher. And then I also worked as a trainer on the other side. So basically on the training side, I worked basically with those that make sure that the district is still running on all of the things that have nothing to do with education. And then now I work back on the education side. So and basically what I do is teach teachers how to use technology within their classrooms.
That's awesome. Yeah, and you share a lot. You have your own blog. And so I put all their information. So please give these guys a follow. You will not regret it. And I hope that you can see my Mahomes cereal in the background and my homage to the Royals too. All right.
I see it. Very cool.
Our next educator is Mr. Jeramie Davis. Would you please tell us a little bit about your background?
Sure. Hi, guys. My name is Jeramie Davis, also from Kansas City, Missouri. My background, I taught science for 8 years. This is my 10th year in education. Joined the digital learning team here now 2.5 years ago. I'm working on my dissertation in tech integration and PD models in an urban setting, which is what we're going to kind of discuss a little bit about tonight.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Jeramie. And also, Joe, I might have to switch you around because I feel like this is cutting you off.
Yeah, I'm Joe Jarrett. As you
Joe
can see
Jarrett, yes. Tell us a little bit about you.
Yeah, I similar to everybody else, I'm also from Kansas City. I've been teaching or in the world of education 11-ish years, mostly secondary social studies. Did some time on the elementary side as well, but mostly middle school, high school. Been in the same position with the 3 of these fine folks here, Board of Education, with 2.5 years working on getting our one-to-one initiative to actually be fruitful. So teaching all these teachers how to fully integrate technology into the curriculum.
That's awesome. I love that the diverse backgrounds you all have, like, whether you've, changed up the grade levels or, you've done different things in education or outside of education. I think those are powerful things to bring in and make like the whole experience even deeper. So as we talk, and the first time I talked with you, you guys are like unique. You don't have the same personalities, but you have big personalities, but they're definitely not the same at all. And I want to know, like, what is the DLT team and how do your individual needs make you stronger as a team?
Sure. So one, we're a great team if we say so ourselves. And I think that most people around us kind of look at us as a model team on how we get along. One thing that we spent a lot of time on is when we first met, we spent time just liking each other, which I know sounds, cliche or whatever, but we got to know each other as people and their families and went out, and had drinks and kind of got away from the whole work aspect. The second thing that we've done is, as normal as it is for educators, we took personality surveys. And we were very, very open with each other on strengths and weaknesses. And from day one, we agreed that our group will have that psychological safety where it's okay to fail, it's okay to mess up, and we're going to have each other's backs. So we've kind of formed into some roles. So Andrea here is kind of our marketer. She's our social media person. She's fantastic with relationships. And, you know, I always joke with her that she can talk to a wall for an hour and not get bored. She's a little bit of a squirrel, and she's all over the place, but that's good because it catches people's attention and kind of keeps them interested. So when Joe and I are droning on or getting boring, then Andrea just starts throwing things out, which is very helpful. Joe is fantastic at researching and finding answers to things, and he's kind of our holder of the knowledge.
Yes.
So whenever we have questions that we're stumped on, it's, hey, Joe, can you help us with this? And he's fantastic at, if he doesn't know the answer, going and finding it.
By any means necessary.
Yeah.
He's going to find it.
Yeah. So I have ed spec in administration and in teaching. And so what I bring to the team is more of that integration piece with the teachers, the ideas of how it might look in the classroom with the teachers. I'm also very detail oriented. So I'm the one that keeps the calendar, keeps the list of things, keeps the check marks, and kind of keeps the team moving toward our end goals, which is great because Andrea and Joe are both more big picture people. So they kind of keep me in check of, hey, this is where we're going, so don't get lost in the details too much. So we've really focused on teamwork and making sure that we don't take anything personal, but we're always going to give each other feedback and work towards making ourselves better. So.
Wow. I absolutely love that. And so what gave you, maybe you said this and I was trying to see if there were any questions, so I apologize, but how long have you guys been working together?
2.5, almost 3 years.
Yes, this is our third year together. Yeah.
Third year. Mm-hmm.
And so what made you decide to like I've never really heard of a team. I'm sorry, like maybe I'm just ignorant, but I've never heard like people like going this far, like specifically intentionally making sure that you liked each other. And I think it's really wise, but like I said, I don't normally hear this. So I'm just curious, what made you decide to do that?
I think our start, we kind of started out, like, I don't know these guys. And, you know, it really started on a bad foot. I'll just say that.
Might have been some misinformation out there.
Yeah, it was some misinformation. You know how people can try to talk to you and tell you things about somebody else and want you to have that same idea about them as they do. Mm-hmm. But thank goodness we are not like that. So we learned how to learn about each other regardless of what anybody else thought. And so basically, the more we started to talk and to learn about each other, we liked each other even more. And we were really, it wasn't, I mean, it's nothing you can, well, I guess you could teach it, but we were really blessed because it just kind of just came together. Everybody just, you know, I'll say something. And then as I say it, Joe will go, well, what about if we did it this way? And then Jeramie will go, oh, yeah. Well, what if we also did this? And it just gels every time, no matter what the situation is. So not only do we do a lot of digital learning things, but all throughout our district and from other people outside of our district, they will come to us as a team just to ask us how to answer or how to do or to put something together. Because we do work so well together at putting things together.
Yeah, I think that flowed naturally from the fact that our position was brand new. So our team was brand new. So just the fact that we weren't kind of following in footsteps that were already made, we had to create all these things together, come up with these initiatives together. Mm-hmm. And that collaboration just kind of came naturally as we, you know, did our work.
Yeah, I think it's really interesting. I mean, I think we all know what it's like to work in a toxic environment, and you all decided not to engage into that, but to change that. And I think it's very remarkable and says a lot about your leadership. So thank you for sharing that. Honestly, it was a surprise, but a very good surprise to hear. And so that kind of leads me. So you guys are a team that is intentional about working together well, using your strengths together. So how do you as a team facilitate and encourage, because I know this is one of your strong suits, but the on-demand PD, and definitely talk about the different kind of PD that you excel in.
Joe,
Anybody?
Sure, I'll start.
We do all kinds of stuff.
Yeah. So our being from an urban district, our take on PD, we feel, has to be just a little bit different than the suburban or maybe districts that are a little bit more affluent. And I taught in an affluent district for 8 years before seeking out Kansas City for its diversity. So our PD model had failed for many years prior. Our PD model was offer PD once or twice a week after school from all departments, and no one would show up. You might get one person to sign up, and then we'd cancel. So our first year together, we planned, one PD every other week, and we canceled, I would say 90% of them because no one signed up. So together, we decided we're going to go to a conference. We went to TCA down in San Antonio, and our mission was to find PD models that would help our district in urban setting. We didn't find exactly what we were looking for, but we found bits and pieces that we were able to mold together to fit us. So what we decided on was our teachers needed PD they could do on their own time, whenever they wanted to, and have a direct line of communication with us, the experts, if they needed additional coaching, which could lead into Zoom sessions, in-person sessions, or whatever it might be. So I did in our private chat put the link to the website, our first website we built, which is our roadmap, which our friends down in Klein ISD in Texas helped us with just a little bit with something similar. So I don't know if that's able to be brought up or shown at all.
I can definitely share the screen. Keep on going and I'll share it.
Sure. So I'll let Andrea and or Joe talk about kind of the roadmap. And then the second link is kind of an example of a PD document that we give our teachers. So I'll let them talk about those two things.
Joe, you want to go?
Yeah, are we going to show the roadmap?
Yeah, it's almost up. Here we go.
It's been so long.
It has been a while.
Yeah.
Can you guys see it?
Yes.
There we go. So yeah, we took like Jeramie said, we went down to TCA. We learned some things. We also took a halfway across the state field trip to our friends down in Fulton to see how they were doing their kind of remote PD, their online PD. From there, we developed this. We're a very Google-centric school district. At that time, we were Chromebooks pretty much everywhere, except for we had kindergarten, had iPads that first year. We rolled this out. And we just really did some Google basics to get the teachers where they needed to be. And then as time went on, we rolled out different levels. So we moved on to intermediate, went on to advanced. So we even had some non-Google training with our various formative assessment tools. So really the point there, as Jeramie said, we did not have much adoption as far as our PD goes. I mean, we literally had 1 or 2 people sign up for some, if any. But we had a big need in the district. I mean, we've been one-to-one for a lot of years. A lot of teachers were still struggling on how to use that technology. So there is a demand for it. We just had to find a way to kind of meet teachers where they were. This was really the solution. Jeramie might know the numbers because he seems like that kind of guy. But we really went from, like I said, we would see maybe a couple of dozen teachers per year to where we're actually having to think of we actually have to keep track of this. And this is now becoming its own issue of just how to keep track of how many teachers are going through PD. Where 3 months before that it was, can we even get teachers to come to our PD? So there's really a big evolution in our PD process.
So we're a district of about 1,000 teachers, about 15,000 students, and within our first 8 months of launching, we had a quarter of our teachers at least finish one pathway.
Mm-hmm. Nice.
So from 40 teachers in a year to 250 in 8 months that at least saw something. Was huge growth in the first 8 months that we took this on.
Which was August of last year.
Okay, that's what I was going to say. So
pre-COVID.
So your first year was basically like just you were new to your positions, you were new to each other, you were kind of like just learning about kind of the fails that were happening, keeping teachers from being able to engage with your professional development. And so then that's when you guys that first year together started looking for ways to bring in teachers. So this is your second year when you started the pathways, and you went from a couple of dozen teachers to, what did you say, 250 teachers engaging? Mm-hmm. And this is your second year? Okay.
Yeah, and cool. That was pre-COVID. We got the 250.
Yeah, our first year, we kind of just felt out the district and kind of did a needs assessment. Then that January, we decided we were going to find a tech integration model that worked for us. I think most districts used SAMR. And SAMR just didn't work for what we wanted it to. Our teachers were more at the basic level, where everything they did would be substitution. So what we did, we went with PICRAT, and I did throw a link as the third one in there. You can show it. But PICRAT kind of takes.
Do you want me to? I can show it. Do you want me to stop sharing the screen and show the link?
Sure, that's fine. Or yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
And then I'll talk about it here. Okay. So PICRAT is what we found. What was developed by Dr. Royce Kimmons out of Brigham Young University. He had just developed it when we stumbled upon it. But what we like about it is it focuses on what the students are doing versus solely what the teachers are doing, which is SAMR, TPAC, TIMS, all the other models. And it's a lot easier to understand. So what we did is we created walkthrough forms where we just went out and walked through about 1,000 classrooms in 6 months. And we just took data on who's using the technology. Is it teacher-centered or student-centered? Where are they on this PICRAT matrix? Okay. What's the student doing versus what the teacher's doing? And we just collected as much data as possible before we ever decided how we were going to go about PD.
And that's also how we built our relationship, because we did all of this work together. So we would go into a school, all three of us, and go, okay, what did you think? Did you think that they were substituting? Did you think that the teacher was actually, where did they land on the model? And we would go back and forth on some of them, because I would think something and Joe might think something different. Some of them had quite a bit of a gray area. So it was really good for us to build a relationship and for us to get an understanding on what the model actually does.
Yeah, I love that. And so how have your teachers in your district received you because of this?
This is where you talk about branding, Andrea.
We're rock stars.
Yay! That is so cool.
Yeah, they reach out to us quite a bit. We actually this summer, we had like a Facebook Live event that was actually picked up by our local news station. And I mean, our teachers reach out to us by any means necessary. They email us, but they reach out to us on Facebook, on Twitter. I mean, they are finding any way to get to us. And, we love working with them. So we actually work with them. We will stop what we're doing, make sure that we make them a screencast, or just, we walk in the classes. We just do whatever we can to make sure the teachers get what they need.
Yeah, I think that's the really big point. I mean, we try to make ourselves as available as possible. So, we typically will get to our emails same day. We're on demand. If you need to get a meeting with us pre-COVID, post-COVID, in person or Zoom, whichever. And that's the thing too, what Andrea says, making sure they get what they need. We're not IT. That's kind of one of our mottos as we walk around buildings and people get confused and want to see, fix printers and whatnot. But we will also, just with the knowledge we have, we will fix those IT issues, which teachers are grateful for, because instead of having to, put in a work order and wait a week and a half or whatever just for IT to get that turnaround, we can fix that on demand. So just that, really just building those relationships and giving them those tools that they need. Again, pre-COVID and post-COVID, these are essential things that are making their jobs easier. I think it just really made it where people kind of like us.
For sure.
Well, I want to commend you. I mean, you're 3 people, and you said you have 1,000 teachers that you serve. So that's pretty incredible that you have that fast turnaround. So how do you divide the 1,000 teachers among the 3 of you?
Yeah.
Networks.
So we have networks in our schools. So Joe and I are elementary. We split 23 elementary sites plus Head Start plus our virtual school. And then Andrea takes the 9 or 10 secondary sites that we have. But what kind of makes us unique is we don't just stick to those networks. We oftentimes, if I have a problem, I'll say, hey, Andrea and Joe, I'm witnessing this with a teacher. Can you help? Or, Joe's fantastic at our student information system. So if I have a teacher struggling, hey, Joe, can you reach out to this teacher? So we're not defined by our network or our role. We still rely on that teamwork and each other's expertise. And I think this is where we kind of saved the district during COVID. Because we had done all of this pre-work, because we were such a great team, because we had branded our stuff and talked to teachers and built those relationships, our teachers were ready to roll when COVID hit. It was no problem. And so what we did is we developed PD, and I put a PD module of kind of what our PD looks like. It's that second one, the Google Doc.
Okay.
Because it's just a hyperdoc. It's just a simple thing. But we put those out, and we had 4,000 turned back into us by over 700 teachers. So our teachers really, so from 40 a year to 250 in 8 months to 700, which is most of our district, submitting 4,000 PD assignments that the three of us graded to provide individual personalized feedback. Because our PD, we looked at PD 360 and all these online platforms, and they don't fit urban education.
Right.
So our model really.
I just want to say that as a teacher that served in an urban district and used PD 360, I want to shout amen when you said that. Clearly, so frustrating. Thank you. Now you can go on.
Yeah, no, a lot of it doesn't fit urban education. So what's nice about our personalized PD is we can mold it to our district and our students. Mm-hmm. We can mold our feedback directly to the teachers to fit our ecosystem that we're dealing with. And so that's what I think the power is. And when our teachers realized, oh, you're going to provide me personal feedback, you're going to reach out to me through an email, you're going to Zoom me because I made a mistake, and we're going to fix it real time. I think that's the power of, districts I've been in before is sit and get for an hour, move on. Who cares if you learned it or use it? All of our PD is artifact based. So it's worth your time. It takes an hour, 45 minutes to an hour, and it's all artifact based. So you have something to walk away with that you can use with teachers or your students right away.
I love that. And I love, it's kind of like, we do have a question in between here, but I wanted to jump in this because we've talked about it a couple of times about being an urban district. And so that gives you a unique, so you guys are big on mentoring, and we'll get to that too, but tell us, go even more deeply into how does being an urban district really change your perspective? You've answered it a little bit, but I'd love even more thoughts. And I just want to remind, I know there's people watching because I see the numbers, but if you have questions or comments that you'd like to share, please send it. I would love to get to those. All of us would. But tell us a little bit more about how being an urban district has changed your perspective on all of this.
Well, what we were tired of seeing or hearing when we go to conferences, we're hearing all these great things, and I never hear these great things from urban districts. I always hear these things usually from suburban districts who have really, lots of resources that we may not have. Or we may have those resources, but we may not know how to use those resources. So goal one for us was to make sure that our teachers had top-notch professional development no matter what. Because it seems to me like, other districts may be able to bring in some of these top-notch people. We wanted to be those top-notch people. We want people to start looking at us and go, hey, we want to get something from Kansas City Public Schools, not Kansas City Public Schools going out to other districts to get information. And I think that we really made that number one as we were actually, doing our research. So,
and I know we throw the word digital divide out, but until you actually live within the digital divide, you don't really understand it. So just in perspective, an affluent district 20 minutes from us during COVID had to hand out 70 hotspots, and they have 18,000 students. We have 15,000 students and handed out almost 7,000 hotspots, which we have to pay for as a district. But the digital divide doesn't stop with student access. Our teaching demographics are, we either have teachers in their first 1 or 2 years, or we have teachers that have been here for 20 years. So for us to get traction and build anything, we always are starting over with retention issues. So that digital divide also goes into the teacher's knowledge of technology. And we've been one-to-one for, 10 years?
Right.
but we've only been here for 2.5. So teachers have never had that top-notch professional development in order to use their devices, appropriately or effectively. So being in that urban setting, you have to look at it of not just the student issue, but you have this teacher deficit as well.
That's amazing. Yeah, that's really amazing. And Joe, I know I don't want to cut you off. I'm sorry.
I keep on having all these awesome things to say, then Jeramie says I was going to talk about artifacts a little bit ago in our modules.
Yeah.
Yeah, talk about them. Yeah.
He already did it.
You can share your screen and show a module. It's the second link.
Yeah.
Do you want me to share my screen, or because you guys can share it, but tell me, I'll share it really. Let me get the.
I don't think I'm prepared for that. On the urban, perspective thing, like I've been in the district my entire career's in here, so I don't really have a change. This is my perspective. Last time I was in suburban schools when I was a student, back when we had computer labs still, 1-to-1 wasn't a thing. So I don't really have an outside perspective on how things look at the moment, besides just visiting our neighbors sometimes on field trips. But I mean, I would say one of the things that changed once I got to this level, once, we got to the central office where we could actually make these decisions, was just the whole, I'd say, concept of like, we are capable of excellence within our district. So kind of like Andrea was saying, is we don't need to keep looking like, hey, look what's awesome going on in the suburbs. We can be those folks still. So that is not a barrier, and really striving for excellence. Like Jeramie also said, I mean, we've been 1-to-1 for a bit, but when our team first gathered, we were still telling people, A, Google Classroom exists, in a 1-to-1 district with Chromebooks, and B, how to sign into your Google account. And we went from that to, 100% distance learning, 18 months later, however long that took, to where we were actually capable of doing remote learning. So just the fact that we can kind of do whatever we want to do, we could be a model for other districts. That's kind of what I think we bring to that urban district table.
Well, I think that the stigma around urban students is they're underperforming because of poverty or because of whatever. But there's also a stigma around urban teachers that they're not as good as suburban. Oh, that's the only place they could find a job. And so it really took the three of us to say, we're not going to accept that. We're not going to be okay with that. Our teachers can learn this. They can, innovate for our students. And we started treating them as such. No, you're amazing educators. Here's some tools to use. And we started leveraging, our older teachers who aren't fantastic with technology, but they're great with pedagogy.
Yes.
And there are younger teachers that are great with tech, but they haven't taught long. And we've paired them up to say, you can actually learn from each other, because you might know how to use tech, but you don't know how to teach with it. And so we've talked about mentoring relationships. We've really brought those two groups together for mentoring of how can you work together versus you always going to them for tech help.
Yeah. And I got to say, like, you just really, I hate to be like emotional or whatever, but you did just give me goosebumps, because everything that you just said is literally passed from the top down. So it's not going to happen on the field, on the ground. It's not going to happen unless it's coming from the top down. So what you guys are doing is giving, teachers the same thing, emotionally supportive and professionally support that our students need to be supported too. So you're modeling by that. And I love that we just naturally went into the mentoring. And I got to say, Joe, so you've been in this district your whole entire career, correct?
Yes.
And so even though now you're in a different place, what was it? I mean, can you see what was needing? Like, you kind of brought that perspective too. Like, we never had this before.
What we needed was PD, but we got it now. But yeah, that whole, on the question of, mentoring and why it's important. Because it was kind of, here's your stuff, like in this case, computers or whatever, and get at it. Like, just go teach. And in this environment, depending on where you're at, it could be a very rough place to teach if everything is going according to plan other than the teaching itself. Right. So when you're talking about teachers coming in and they don't know how to use their resources, they don't have access to their resources, they don't know how to leverage everything we do have access to, that's a big problem. I think that's a big reason why we have so much turnover with our new staff is they do 1 or 2 years and they say, I can't handle this. I mean, I've kind of come from the perspective myself as a teacher in the district. I could handle just the teaching environment, or I could handle some bureaucracy issues. But it's really hard to handle both at the same time. So we definitely got to get one side of that fixed. And, the environment is what it is. So the part that we can fix is making sure everything else is taken care of.
Exactly. And I'm going to try to get, so tell us, I'm sorry, I'm struggling on my computer on this end. And Rochelle, thank you for saying hello. Thank you for popping in and saying hello. Hello back. So any more about how did you, so it's kind of like you all were in this district together and you knew that mentoring was what pulled you together and what's going to pull you up. Do you tell us how have you seen that change in the last year since you started?
Well, one of the biggest changes we've had is it kind of came about naturally. As you alluded to, there's 3 of us, right? And there's 36-ish schools, depending on what you call a school. So that's hard for us to be physically present everywhere. So we came up with what was our first name for them? Tech Champions.
Oh, Tech Champions, yeah.
We had our Tech Champions, which we had no real budget for. We kind of, said, hey, who wants to be part of this? It was a plan we had. We went to our boss at the time, asked for any kind of budget. She gave us some money to pay them in tater tots, once a quarter or so. So we'd get together at our local happy hour spot, order them some appetizers, and really just kind of discuss, how can we support you in supporting teachers? So we really got it to where we had little mini me's running around the different buildings to where teachers have even more access to the resource knowledge that we would provide. Now from there, that turned into a bigger role. It's now a real position with real pay. And it's just a formal thing that's part of our district now that wasn't there, 2 years ago.
Yeah. What's so crazy about that though is once we came up with the idea, we were just going to do it every quarter. And so we also talked to our IT department who had some funds and said, hey, we can't really pay them, but could you all send them to a conference? So we all went to METC in St. Louis a week before COVID hit.
Wow.
It's just, look at God. That's all I can say. Because basically, they were already ready to go.
Right.
And one of the really cool things that we did too, because we're about 3 hours from St. Louis, is we actually took the Amtrak train to the conference. That way we would have the time to actually get to know the mentors, because we are so big on relationships. So we made sure that they all rode the train and we could talk, on our way there, kind of get to know each other. And then on our way back, we could kind of come up with plans on how we could make our district better from the things that we learned from the conference.
And we also got to know a couple other Amtrak riders. So that was
that's another story.
Yeah.
We'll think about that one offline.
Just to go off Andrea, I'll give Jeramie the floor again. When Andrea talks about IT, they were so kind as to fund our mentors on their way to METC. I think that's another big piece of our success is, for the most part, we get along really, really well with our IT department. There's a lot of collaboration there. So even though we're on the curriculum side, the academic side of the house, we just still have an open line of communication with them to kind of make sure from both ends that all that tech is working the way it should be and teachers have access to what they need to have access to.
Yeah, we meet with them once a week just to go through things that are problems that may be happening so that we can kind of get those fixed and address them back out to teachers.
Yeah. So I'd like just to add 2 things to that conversation of we kind of have a consortium a little bit around Kansas City, kind of a little tech group. And what we heard from a lot of people is the integrationists are usually in the IT department. And the big complaint about our job is it's really hard to connect with the curriculum department to actually integrate. And so we moved to the curriculum department after about 6 months after hearing that, so that we could actually work with our assistant Sue to actually integrate to where we could talk to IT about fixing things, but a natural fit. So we make people jealous because we are on the academic side of the house. But everything we do is really strategic.
Right.
So these mentors were part of, a strategy of, our 5-year plan of how do we actually take the district from no tech to being a model where people want to come see what we're doing. So now we have 36 people, like they've mentioned. We meet once or twice a month. We let them do PD. We pull them into making our models. If you get to showing one of our templates, we've had them make those for us. They do district PD for us. We kind of coach them on PD because they're still teachers. So they're balancing teaching virtually and being a tech mentor to the people. So these are people that are really hungry for that next level of attention and learning and self-promotion. So
I will share that. So it is the Google Docs that I shared in the comments. Is that what you're referring to? Okay. Yeah. Let me share that.
That's what our PD looks like. And like I said, it's a very simple model, but it works. So I'll let Andrea and or Joe discuss.
Yeah.
One of the biggest pieces of that, which again, Jeramie also mentioned earlier, the biggest piece I think that makes our module so successful is that artifact piece. To where, not only is it something you're doing on your own time at your own leisure, but you're also walking away with some real knowledge and a real product that you can use in your classroom. So it's not just, hey, watch this video and learn about this. It is, watch this video and learn about this. But then it's go ahead and make this, integrate this into your lesson. Show us how you do this for students. Sometimes it's even use if we can do it, use it with students and give us a student sample of what you came up with. So
yeah,
it's
really,
so
our budget,
real knowledge.
Our budget was $0. So we said, well, we need something free. We can't go use a Moodle or a Canvas or what this. So we used Google Classroom, and we made Google Docs, and we made our videos or found some things on YouTube. So we're running at a budget of $0. We had to be innovative of, how do we actually connect with, our teachers. So this is just a basics. This one doesn't really have necessarily a product with it, but it gets them used to the model we are using, so they know what we're doing. They have some practice the model.
Right.
And then we're allowed to be able to provide that feedback. We have about 60 to 70 modules built of everything from being a writer to book creator, Jamboard, to how to plug in your OneScreen to make sure Google Meet works. So anytime we have an issue, we do like feedback sessions with teachers through our open office hours that we offer several times a week. And we take all of their concerns, and the next week we push out PD over it. So we're real time, a few days away of, we heard this from 10 people today, guys. Let's go ahead and make PD and push it out to all of our teachers, because it's probably more than 10 teachers that are having the same issue. So we have that direct line with our teachers. We make ourselves available, like my colleagues mentioned, to make sure that teachers get what they need in real time versus having to go find it on their own or being frustrated and stuck because they don't know where to find that information.
And Melody, if you clicked on any of these modules, any of them,
okay,
they all look the same. Our goal is we have
do you want me to click on it? Is that what you're asking me?
You can. I mean, basically,
Okay.
You have more? Okay, I was about to say. Okay, well, anyway, basically, what I'm trying to explain is that if you look at a module, if you look at this basics of online learning, and you look at our let's say our book creator module.
I'm actually a book creator right now.
Okay, perfect. They all are branded. The look, everything is always set up the same. So you have the 3 columns. You have the steps on the left side. In the middle, you have a video or a scenario. And then on the right side is when you actually are going to have to physically do something. You're either going to have to write something where you have answer written there and you'll have to write right there inside of the answer, or you'll have to create something before you actually turn it into your Google Classroom. So we made sure we didn't want our teachers to, every time they got something new that they wanted to do in a module, that they go, oh man, well, how do I get there now? We want them to always know that everything is always going to look the same. And we've also had other people within our district to take this model and to replicate it, because we call it the McDonald's model. It's perfect in regards to staying the same to make sure that everyone or anyone can get on without any questions.
Yeah, so I started sharing my screen.
Go ahead.
I don't know what it looks like.
Okay.
If people can see it or they can't see it. There we go.
I can see it.
So the first thing you're going to notice, like Andrea said, is the branding. So this is our brand. It represents the three of us. So they see that and they see it and they see it. So then they become to trust what we're pushing out. So this is a level. So we have 3 book creators from 0 to 2, 0, 1, and 2. We do have the most certified authors on Book Creator in the entire world.
Yes.
Wow.
Which technically means the universe as well, right?
Yeah, that's true.
So
So we pushed out Book Creator PD this summer, and we had almost 300 teachers, a third of our teachers almost, become certified authors. So, but what this shows you is the branding looks the same. Every task is the same, but this is our advanced Book Creator. So this is actually where we get into our curriculum. So you can see here, their task is to link it to curriculum and actually build a student exemplar of what it might look like in their class, as well as one of these is building a page on expectations you're going to teach about the technology. So we're always digital citizenship focused, but we're always, you can't just run into your classroom and start using a tool. First, you have to learn it. Then you have to set your expectations around it, and then you can have your kids integrate it effectively. So like this one has them pull out priority standards and grade levels. So this is the part where we get to make people jealous because we work with curriculum and we're former educators that we have the knowledge to actually blend it together. Whereas our colleagues sometimes are in the IT world and they're removed and they have a hard time with this piece because they just don't have access to the experts in the curriculum. We have a 15-person curriculum team, which is rather large for a district of our size. So we're blessed to have that access. So like I said, it's simple, it's straightforward, it's just HyperDocs, but it's so effective because we can make it however we want. And now that our teachers are used to it, other departments are now copying what we've done. Our one roadmap has turned into 3. We have one over classroom management and one over relationships in urban areas. So it's been replicated. It's tried and true for urban education. So, and I will stop sharing.
And this is one of my favorite modules, not created by myself. I like it because in its inception style, you're learning about Book Creator by creating a lesson on Book Creator. And I mean, it's like Jeramie also said there, the teacher's actually walking away with a pre-made lesson on a new resource that they may have never used before, aside from doing the Book Creator basics maybe. So
yeah, and I reshared my screen. I don't know if you guys are looking there or not.
Nope.
But one thing we want.
Do you want me to reshare? I can put it up. Do you want me to reshare?
Yeah, here we go. Perfect. So one thing we can offer to the people that are watching or that will watch this is feel free to reach out to us if you need resources. If your district doesn't have this stuff built, if you can't find it, here's just the list of all the modules that we have built. So general things, how to use social media for professional learning for adults. Our teachers aren't quite there yet, but we exposed them to it. And their artifact was to follow our social media so they can see what we're putting out.
Yeah, they had to retweet us, which we had like 1 million retweets. And people are like, man, how are you getting retweets on that? Well, it was part of their lesson.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I love it.
So basically,
that's the branding.
Yes.
So what we've been really successful at is now our curriculum coordinators are building modules too. So Envision is our math resource. So we have Envision made, Science A to Z, Discovery Ed. So that they've used their little logo here, but now they're making PD in the same way. So it's uniform across our district. So if you're looking for resources, I mean, how to use Jamboard with secondary science. So we get very specific into teaching practices and not just the tool, because if you teach the tool in isolation, you're not going to make any gains.
Right. No.
You're not going to integrate. So like I said, we're offering, we have SPED ELL. Reach out to us if, you're looking for resources. We're happy to collaborate and learn and share.
Yes.
That's how we got to this point. We've had to borrow from other people, so that we might be a little bit ahead now. So we're happy to instill that wisdom and that knowledge in other people and help them build their programs as well.
So my last question is basically like, how can we follow and get in contact with you? Is it like I put all of your Twitter handles on the ticker on the bottom? Is that how you would prefer? Or is there an email that you would prefer people? How can we follow and get in contact with you?
You can either use Twitter. We do have an email address too called the Digital Learning Team at gmail.com.
Okay.
Basically, that's for us to kind of brand our own work, I should say. Because I mean, we've done some really great things for the district, and we've done some really great things as a team outside of the district as well. So,
but and what is it? The digital team?
The Digital Learning Team.
Okay.
So we have started a blog. We've not got very far, but we'll be able to push that out.
I wrote the introductory blog not too long ago.
That's right, you did.
Yeah.
We do have our team Twitters and Facebook that we can reach out. So if anybody wants that information, we're happy to share it through email or through any of our personal ones. But it is KCPSDLT. There it is right there at the bottom, which is our team Twitter that we push things out on. So
awesome. And you guys really are a package deal. I know that even more now than I did before. So, and it's a good package.
Yes.
Would you ever want other people to join your team? Like if your district grows and the needs grow, or you like, where is that like frightening to even think about?
I think we're at capacity.
That's where our 36 mentors come in, is we've grown the team in that direction. So we still have that, the district level view, but now we have mini needs. So I was
going to say, I would love to see it grow if we could grow as a district. If we could get more kids in our district, that would be a great problem to have.
Yeah, that'd be nice. Or then, I mean, we could also, there's, sometimes it might be that we'll branch out into things beyond digital learning. So if that becomes the case, then perhaps. But yeah, I think we're good here. Maybe
that happens a lot though with us. I mean, we've had to write rap songs. We've done a lot of things.
We've done a lot of things, not just digital learning.
Well, I just want to thank you all so much for joining me today. We've gone over our normal time, but I knew that we would because, there's more of us and you just had so many gems to offer. And just as a recap, what I really love about your team is just the fact that you started from scratch, but you took everything that you'd learned in all of your various roles in education, outside of education, you brought it together. Something that you touched on that I think is something that we don't touch on very much is just that when you came, you brought in a lot of different opinions about each other, what you'd heard, but you didn't really know each other. So you were very intentional about learning how to like each other because you didn't want to work in a toxic environment. And so that is just one way that you were able to form the team that you are. But then just being able to assess your district's needs was incredible. And because you were educators, you were able to see like, this is not working. Let's do something that does work. And you made a game plan and you put something out there that is so helpful. You've grown. And what's amazing is, like you said, you started unrolling your strategies before COVID ever hit so that you were able to keep going through COVID. And I just think that's amazing. And that's just what I hope that everybody who was listening was able to see, that this is possible, that real leadership, I just got to say, in your district, choosing and hiring you three was pretty awesome on their part. They chose amazing people. And again, I'm going to put, I want to put up, I want to put up, if you are interested, they are interested in teaching the stuff that they have put together. So reach out to them, the Digital Learning Team at gmail.com, or follow them on Twitter. Their group is at KCPSDLT, and they are more than willing to share all the gems that they have created, because in fact, they know that they are together and learning because of things that other people have done successfully. So I want to thank all three of you for joining me today. And before we leave, do you have any last words that you want to say?
So I want to speak to teamwork. As first impressions are not final impressions.
Yes.
So give people more than one chance. Okay. You don't let people make those impressions for you. Find a way through it, because first is not final.
Yes.
I love that.
I just want to say, Melody, thank you so much for the opportunity.
Appreciate it.
We really appreciate that.
Go
Chief.
Chief.
It is my pleasure. Yes, go Chief. Chiefs. I don't know why I can't talk, but yeah, I hope that you can see. I have some of my Kansas City behind me. It's always with me in everything I do. And I got to say, thank you all for joining me. It's been a complete honor, and especially because I'm originating from Missouri, so this is like coming full circle. And thank you to everybody who's watched, whether it was from Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, wherever you are watching, and whether you're watching live or after we're finished here. Thank you so much. And please continue to drop questions or comments, and take care until we see you next week. Bye, everybody.
Bye.